Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for Bitcoin. Now, last video I posted, we have several different scenarios able to play out. There's still a lot in play, but my primary count has changed to where we at least need one more move to the downside in my point of view, since we broke this last pivot area way back in March. So we had a couple trade setups here, looking for this to be a larger corrective move. Everything failed. So my primary count has changed. And I mentioned in my bonk video, we're expecting one more low. And I'll show you how my primary count has changed. It's based on this last wave we got this week. Just the fact that it's a lot of threes, nothing impulsive. So this most likely looks like an impulse wave to the downside we're finishing up. And this is my main count, my primary. Now, areas that are very important to hold is this last area of consolidation here. We want to hold that as support. But this was a very tough count. It can change many different ways. So I'm not 100% on this, but I do think we need a move to the downside. Obviously, we never get 100%. But the size of these waves has been the tough count to get any significant probability, because a few things I was considering is, okay, if this is a three-wave move, this is a three-wave move, this could be a five-wave move as a diagonal. That was one of my thoughts, right? And we just get a flat pattern with an ending diagonal. Issue with that, and why I always readjust my counts for probabilities, is the length of this A wave compared to the C wave. It's like insane the amount of time that C wave would be compared to the A. Just seems very improbable to me. Let's see how much we would be getting, like 7, 4. We'd come all the way over here, 7. It'd be about 6 times the length of wave A. So clearly that does not make sense. Which is why that is not my primary, and that would just be, we'd get a move up, overlap with this wave 1, and get another move down. Targets are similar to my wave count here. We just get it now rather than another move up and then down. So I started recounting all this, and the best way I have this to look correct, where A is almost an equal length as C, is like so, where this is a WXY for our B wave. Tough to see in real time because you're always looking for one-to-ones. So we'd look for a one-to-one here. Indications where that would be is literally when we pass the 618 of this move to the downside, to even consider the fact that we're coming down, right? Because we were using the most logical thing at that time, and that was that we were getting a correction to the other side and then making something more complex, as you remember. So now that we have a pretty good grasp on the primary count, my minimum requirement, as you know, is the 618, and that is the extension of this first wave up off the second for our third, and that's the 618. We nailed that, so it is valid. That is the top of our B wave in my point of view as a running flat complex combination. So as of now, we start our count from here, looking for 5 waves down to complete. Areas of interest are the one-to-one extension of this A wave off the B. That's at 54,164 on linear scale. On log scale, 55,340, which might be the ideal. You can see how close we are there. We don't come into this zone in that scenario. We might get a maybe a wick through and quick rejection, but we'll see. But I want to talk about this count in here and where we have some confluence in this area. So our one-to-one there at 55,340, where we'd expect our ideal 5th wave, if this plays out exactly as per guidelines for our 4th. We take our wave 1. We're expecting our 4th wave to come to the 382 of this move to the downside, which I have marked there at 59,505. I extended the 1-to-1 of 1 off that 382. This is if we hit ideal. That would be 55,709. So you can see our confluence there. Our 1-to-1 of A equals C, and our fifth wave would be 1-to-1 right at that area. So pretty good area. And that's also our wave 1 off our wave 2, the 2.236 extension, right at that zone 2 for our fifth wave. So a lot of confluence in that zone. Again, we might just spike through and come up. Nothing says we can't do that. We have a lot of stops in that area. But as of right now, looking for this fourth wave. This is what I've been scalping the last couple days. I'm doing pretty well on it, but we're going to focus on that. So where we would expect this fourth wave to finish, again, between the 382 and the 50. Invalidation is past the 618, that this is a fourth wave, and that is at 61,437.9 when I wouldn't count it at wave 4 anymore, or 61,569 on linear scale. But it looks like log targets are matching up best, so we're going to go with those. So we have our wave 1 down. This ended up being a running flat WXY complex combination for our wave 2. Third came, this is where I was going back and forth. It came to the 1.786 on linear scale. You can see how one is working over the other, but I expect to get a little bit of an extension here for our fifth wave on log scale to the 2.236. So looking good separation in our third, good targets hit, and now we're just expecting this fourth wave to eat up time. Now equal in time of the wave 2 would take us out to Sunday, but I want to see at least a 618 in time of wave 2, which would take us to tomorrow. So you can see my zone, you can see my price zone between the 382 and the 50. So there's my magic box area right here, where I'm looking for that pivot to the downside. So that's the short I am looking at currently. And we'll talk about on the micro here. So I also pulled from wave 1 off wave 3, projected off. That got outsorted there a little bit. Projected off wave 2. Let's get it right on the pivot. So that's our ideal area as well. We might come out of the channel a tiny bit as like a false breakout and then reject. But you can see our magic zone area with our channel, our price, and our time. So right in this area. Okay, so we'll focus down on the fourth. Remember, we're about halfway through the correction in my point of view. Sorry, there's a lot of action on here. I was scalping it pretty aggressively. So I have a lot of pivots showing, etc. Let me get rid of these. Okay. Where is my magic zone? It's not showing. There we go. So what I'm looking for is for this to become more complex. There's my zone. And you can see I pulled my trend line across as well. So we'll see this as a three-wave move. Looking for this to become a three-wave move. So need a connecting wave to this last down move. This looks like 3. So looking for this matching leg right here. And then to look and make another 3, similar to this one. So let me do those in different colors just to show you how that matches up. So we have 3 up, looking for 3 down, and then a similar wave as this first one, looking for 3 up. Now this could extend out in time, come to our magic zone, the 382, the 50, and our trend line to the downside, which is not showing for some reason. Let me make sure that shows down on the minute. There it is. There we go. Come up to our trend line and then finally reverse. So right now I am looking to short this. You can put the stop. You can play this several different ways. I'll show you how I actually am scalping this one. What you can do is this can turn into a flat in between. Sorry, not trying to overcomplicate, but maybe I can just give you a little bit of education when it comes to scalping. So our read is we're in a complex correction here. That's our bias for all the evidence I showed you already in this video. And we know we're looking for a connecting wave for this one. So what can happen in between here? A few options here is we get a running flat as a B wave. So assuming we have our A wave, we can be looking for a B wave up to that running flat, our B zone, the 1.236 and the 382, which is 60,082 and 60,491. Go between log and linear, see which one is the highest in price. So I can put my stop right above the guideline area for my B wave, which is where I would put my stop when I scalp. And whenever the pivot is in, I'm looking for a 1-to-1 extension, like so, which I have currently at the pivot high. I take profit at not just above the 1-to-1, so at 95% of this wave is where I look to take profit, but looking for an equal wave here. So if I don't get a move like that and we start to chop sideways, I can bail out on my trade, right? Because we're looking at this equal amount of time, maybe slightly longer, move to the downside. And then we're looking for this move back up. So I hope that makes sense, and that creates a 3, 3, 3, and then we drop. So that's one way you can do it. This would give you, if you enter in this area, that would give you a risk reward. Say you just entered now, stop right above our B zone, so that's as high as that would go. That would give you like just over 1.5-to-1. Not amazing trade setup, but other things you can use to your advantage here is you wouldn't expect the C wave to come past, if this is a 3-wave move, past the 1.618. So that's up there at 59,988. So you can put your stop even a little bit lower based on this internal count. But these are just adjusting your guidelines, right, to help you get a better risk reward. Another way you can do it is go down all the way to the 15-minute. And if you have a clean count here, it looks like 5. So you're looking for 5 up. We're pretty close. This could be a diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks potentially complete. So that could be an ABC. And if you decide to trade on that count, a good way to do that to get pretty much the best entry you can, but realize you're not going to win as often, you'll get stopped out a lot more, is right at the break of the 4th wave of the 5th wave. So this is an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're pretty confident on that, that's how I would trade if I was very confident, is I'd take the short on the break of this and stop can go at the high. And that's where you go from that 1.5. So right below the break, I'd get triggered in, stop at the high. That's where I'd get that 1.5 and take it all the way up to a 4-to-1 risk reward, right? But just realize that you're going to get stopped out a lot more, because this could be a wave 1 in the 5th wave, right? And we get some sort of ending diagonal, stop you out. So just realize there's no right way. There's only trade-offs. All right, guys, so that's what I'm looking for. Sideways chop the next couple days, and it moved down to about 5,500. Let's go down to the hourly. There's my range, about 56K to 55,340, and ideally hold above this area. And look for a low in as either a wave 4 or in the very bearish scenario. I'll address that later, but this is just what I'm looking for now. Move to the downside, pivot to the upside after completing our larger ABC. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.